Hello, Broken Joysticks family and friends and sight readers and everybody else. I'm here today with Renee, developer of Potions, A Curious Tale, member of our staff, all around awesome person,
Yeah,
and
hi.
big smile haver.
I do like smiling. It is one of my favorite activities, aside from playing video games.
Smiling and playing video games are good activities, I agree. And we're here today to talk about your game and the Kickstarter that goes with it, in case you couldn't guess by the video title or the giant card that's behind me that says back now on Kickstarter, right up there. There. Yeah. Back now on Kickstarter. So, Renee, this is a big step for you. Potions has been in development. We've had a couple of little stories about it for over the last year. This is a big step. You've taken Potions to Kickstarter to the next level.
I have, yeah. This is the first time that we're actually reaching out to the public and looking for their support, and financial support for the development of the game. It's going pretty well so far. We have 22 days left in our campaign, and we are already 30% funded. So there's definitely the interest out there, and it's really exciting to be building this community, especially since Potions looks to bring in fairy tales and folklore from cultures around the world. Having a big community to support us and share those stories is going to be really key to the development of the game.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about first where we can find your Kickstarter. It's in the notes right there, and there. I can't point at it because it's in the wrong spot. There you go. Gesture vaguely above you, and that'll
Oh,
be pointing directly at it. There you go. And so you can find it at Kickstarter. It's under the Stumbling Cat name, which is the name of the studio.
it is.
So that's
My,
where
my stumbling cat has wandered off, but I'm sure he'll be back in here.
I'm sure the internet would love to see your Stumbling Cat. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes to get onto Kickstarter. I've never put a product on Kickstarter because I'm not inventive of anything. But let's talk a little bit about what took to get there.
Yeah, so Kickstarter is obviously a crowdfunding site, and due to that, you have to have a crowd support you. So you need to not only build something that's people think is worth supporting, but provide materials for them to evaluate and see if they're interested in what you're creating. So what I had to focus on prepping for my Kickstarter specifically were the Kickstarter video, which is really important, especially when you're showing a video game with gameplay and stuff. I worked with Imagos Films to do that, and their support and their knowledge of video editing and proper video composition and such was really helpful. And then for the rest of the Kickstarter, I needed to figure out all of the static images that we're going to have on the page, all of the writing, which there's a ton of it, and then all of the rewards. And the rewards are super special because that's how we're thanking our backers for their support. And that's what the backers sort of get out of it, aside from knowing that they've contributed to helping our game become a success. So I actually started the prep for Kickstarter a really long time ago. I had a feeling that Kickstarter might be the way I wanted to go. And so about 8 months into the project, I started researching Kickstarter and going through all of these books and postmortems and things just to get a good idea of what Kickstarter required. So aside from those assets that Kickstarter requires, it also requires having a community already. And so I've spent about the last year working on building up people who have interest in the game and who are interested in the studio and want to support us. And that's really where our initial support has come from for the Kickstarter. So now what we're working on is reaching out to all of the people who haven't heard of us. So I'm focusing on doing marketing, doing interviews, and getting our name out there in the name of Potions: A Curious Tale out there.
Cool. I did not know there were books about going for your product on Kickstarter. That is something I was not aware of. Today I
Well,
have learned.
there are really lengthy PDFs. One has like an index. It could be a book if it was printed, but it is, as far as I'm aware, only available online currently.
It's a digital book.
Yes.
The future, the digital future books. So, talk about it's basically you've reached almost $19,000 already, and it's only been 8 days. How does that feel? I mean, I know a lot of people were hyped about this game. I mean, even in the Kickstarter, you list some of the many awards you've gotten. I mean, you were selected for the Seattle Six Indies Expo, PAX Prime, Indiecade, Geek Girls Con featured exhibitor. all these great area awards, but none of them ever translated into monetary things.
Well, yeah, we weren't trying to sell the game before. Like we didn't have anything for people to invest in. Though admittedly a lot of times when I was at those conventions and other exhibits, people would come up to me and say, "When can I get this game? Can I pre-order it? Can I just give you money?" And I'm like, "No, I can't take your money. Like I don't actually have the ability to track all of that right now." And this is the first time where we're really doing that. So now people can invest and, get a copy of Potions when it comes out.
So your minimum backer level actually includes a copy of the game, right? I just
It
checking.
does. If anyone wants to support for $1 or $5, they're more than welcome to do that, and I will send them my thanks. However, I think that the point of this Kickstarter is to create Potions, the game, and so the minimum backer level and all the backer levels include a copy of the game itself.
Cool. That's exciting. So how did you decide on the levels? I back a lot of products on Kickstarter, and sometimes the stuff that you get is kind of insane. Like it goes from you'll get the gold framed copy of the first book of the Talmud or whatever, and all the way over to like we'll say thank you, and you give us $200 and we'll say thank you, and maybe we'll write you a letter. So how did you decide where to place your levels for Kickstarter?
I did a lot of research and other successful Kickstarters and other successful game Kickstarters, especially ones that I thought had similar audiences or were at least different enough from the norm that they attracted interesting audiences. For example, I don't know if everyone who plays Darkest Dungeon would like Potions of Curious Tale. However, they're both kind of alternative takes on traditional like RPG adventure games. And so I thought that their Kickstarter, which was amazingly successful, would be a good resource to look at. And luckily, I know the guys at Red Hook as well, so I was able to pick their brains even more. So mostly I did a lot of research into recommendations from other people. I talked to other developers, and I also did research by looking at other campaigns that were successful and seeing what reward tiers and what levels of support really helped. One thing that I think a lot of people who go into Kickstarter without really researching don't understand is how expensive shipping can be. So while you might be able to make a t-shirt that's really inexpensive, if you suddenly have to ship that t-shirt to Spain, the cost of your $12 t-shirt suddenly becomes $52 or higher just to get it over there.
And I do notice way in the bottom of your Kickstarter, there's actually presumably a potion brewing kettle with a little pie chart inside of it that tells us how much is going to be spent on back rewards. It's a fairly significant chunk. It looks like it's maybe like 10-ish%.
I think it's around 12% specifically, but yeah, we really wanted to make sure that the rewards that we were giving people were cool and unique and had a sense of I don't know, value behind them. So we have some really cool rewards, like an art book that's a hardcover and is going to have gorgeous full color images in it. We have other rewards on one of the higher levels. We actually have hand printed like linoleum prints. So those are going to be numbered, one of a kind. You're going to be able to see like which number of the series you are. It's going to be bragging rights forever if you get one.
I'm really excited because I backed in at the Grandmaster tier myself, and I'm really excited for that numbered print and that signed poster. I have a lot of posters in my sort of office. Also, it's kind of my kitchen, but kitchen office. And so I'm really excited for that signed poster so that I can have a cool piece of art, and I'll probably frame it. It's numbered and everything. So I'm excited for that personally.
Yeah, I'm glad, and I do want to give those things of value to our supporters, and hopefully they'll be collector's items down the road when Stumbling Cat's giant and famous or whatnot.
We can only hope. So were you surprised? I noticed that there's one 5,000 donation and one 2,000 donation. Those are big chunks of money. Were you surprised to receive those donations?
I was. Some of my friends have been very successful in their careers, so I knew that some of my friends have a different interpretation of money than I do. However, I didn't expect, such a strong support. So it's really great. I mean, well, I knew that it might happen. That's why I made two levels over $1,000. Um, but I wasn't counting on that at all. That was just sort of a wish, and it seems like I am getting that support, and that's really great.
That is really exciting to see. I mean, I was blown away when I saw those contributions. I was like, "Wow, that's so cool!" I was excited for you on your behalf. So I'll go back to talk about the video a little bit. The Kickstarter video is so important. Everybody's Kickstarter now, when especially for games, make a video, make a trailer. That's the number one thing. What was that like to have? How long did it take you to put that together? How much work did you put into it? Was that your main focus the whole time, or kind of it was something that you were like, oh my god, we have a week to put this together?
Oh, it was a main focus for a long time, and I attempted to do the video myself, and I absolutely couldn't manage it. So that's why we started working with Imagos Films. They've done so many trailers, and they're really knowledgeable. They've actually done full feature films as well, but what they specialize in a lot of the time is doing video game trailers for all sorts of indie games, including a lot of Adult Swim games, in indie or not. And having their knowledge and their support really made approaching the Kickstarter trailer a way more of a pleasant experience. We did put a significant amount of time into making sure that all the assets that we had in the trailer looked really nice. So we were throwing in tons of polish, probably more polish than you would at this timeline for a game development. So normally you'd get the game like complete and then you'd polish. But for a Kickstarter, you need to get the game polished so people can see what it's supposed to look like. So it's not as polished as it will be when it's done, but it's certainly more polished than we would have normally at this time in development.
Well, this is a good question. Bring in another question. What percentage of development do you think is done? I mean, I've seen potions for, oh God, has it been a year and a half almost? First time I heard about potions. I was in Kate's living room the first time I heard about potions. I think it was last year at anime. No, it was last year at SakuraCon. So yeah, it's been over a year since I first ever heard about potions.
I joke that I always say it's about 30% done. Probably closer to 50%. The thing is, we have, all of these systems really fleshed out. The game plays really well. Most of the work that we need to put into it is just making more content. So, we have so many interesting characters designed, so many interesting stories, and we just need to finish building that out. And that's why we're looking for the support, because a lot of those require a ton of art assets that we don't have. And so a lot of the money is going to support the creation of those.
It does look like between art and sound, you're covering a little more than 50% of your budget. So
Yes,
it's
yeah. That and
definitely
that's
important.
been the case thus far in development as well.
Exciting. So you've assembled kind of a diverse and rather interesting team of, I don't want to call them rogues, but vastly different people to support this game, and all of them are kind of with you on the whole front of development. And I know they're all contractors, but Stumbling Cat is not just you; it's a whole team of people.
That's true, yeah. And I include my team in all of my design decisions, and we communicate constantly, and so it really does feel like just a continuous team. But yeah, working with them has been really helpful, and they do have a crazy diverse backgrounds. I've met them from all over. On one side of my team, I have Jake Neal, who's an amazing illustrator from London, who hasn't worked a ton in games before, has done some work, but this is probably the biggest project that I think he's been on. And on the other side of the spectrum, my mom, who has certainly never like played anything outside of Bejeweled, is doing research on the literature front and looking into the stories and folklore and bringing back that information and helping with the writing with 38 years of experience, professional experience in English and literature with a master's degree in literature as well.
So we don't have time to fully delve into the lore of the game, but this is one of the most interesting points to me. You're not pulling from what I would consider a traditional lore pool, sort of Judeo-Christian kind of Western lore. You're pulling from a much more diverse lore set. So I'll talk just a little bit about where you kind of got that inspiration from.
Um, Truthfully, I really loved the Harry Potter series while growing up, and I really loved hearing about the lore and creatures from other areas. And growing up, my parents showed me like Miyazaki films and other resources that introduced me to other cultures and their stories. And I fell in love with the diversity of all of these really interesting lore and characters from around the world. And I wanted to put those into potions and sort of bring life to the game. So we have Baba Yaga from Slavic legend, we have Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, and we're adding more things from African lore to Native American legends and even Islamic lore.
A big blend of all sorts of different lore bits and pieces. So my final question for you, and this one is probably going to take more than 5 minutes to answer, but I'm sure you'll be up to the task. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges and that you come from Kickstarter. Let's talk a little bit about the naysayers, the challenges, the fact that I remember, especially on the Reddit thread, there was a particularly mean-spirited comment that said, "How come game developers never understand what a budget is, and how do they think that they can successfully pay wages to these people with only your goal is only $62,000, which in terms of game budgets is not a lot. In
Oh
terms
no,
of game
yeah,
budgets, it's a
that's
tiny, tiny bit.
it is. It's less than you'd pay a programmer generally for an entire year. Uh, I've worked really hard on this game, and I've worked on this game for the past year and a half. And through that year and a half, I was self-funding, and I know how much money I spent, and I know how much money I need to complete the game. And after all of or before all of the fees and rewards and such, it's that $62,000. I spent a long time researching that. And actually, I got my degree in engineering with a focus in both mechanical engineering and in project management with cost estimation and modeling. So one of the best cost estimators in the world, I would say. My professor, Professor Reamer, helped teach me about how to judge costs. So I feel pretty confident in my ability to determine how much money is needed to complete the project. We do a lot to cut down on costs. The main thing of that being that I myself work a ton and I do a lot of things. And since I don't have to pay myself, I am by far the cheapest employee. So a lot of the work that gets done doesn't have to cost very much money because it's my own sweat and blood. And so that's what I'm putting into the project. And why I'm looking for support is to support the rest of the project and development that I can't do myself.
Right? Absolutely. Never underestimate sweat, blood, and tears, and how much of an enterprise can be run on sweat, blood, and tears before you actually get down to the brass tacks of dollars and cents.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been doing it for a year and a half. I did the first 6 months of development all by myself, and that's when I started needing to build out my team in order to make the game the beautiful product that it is.
Do you think that there's a lot of risk associated with a Kickstarter like this? I mean, is this kind of a make it or break it situation, or is it more like, well, we're doing a Kickstarter because development will still continue even if the Kickstarter doesn't succeed, but if it does succeed, then we'll have a big boost.
I've been trying to treat it as a make it or break it situation. It doesn't have to be. Certainly I could continue development of the game for a bit, or at least get a job in Moonlight working on the game. But, if there isn't that interest in the game, if people really don't want to invest in the game or, pre-order basically copies, then, maybe I'd put it to the side for a while. Because if it's not appealing to people, perhaps it was a marketing fluke that I didn't reach them, then, maybe I should spend my time focusing on a different project.
What about Steam Greenlight? Maybe if the Kickstarter is not successful, always a chance to go through Steam Greenlight. You can put the finished game because the game is essentially feature complete. It's just lacking only in the art assets, like you said, and expansion wise, the fundamental mechanics are there, and you can do that through Greenlight as well. So, is there any chance we may see this game on Steam Greenlight?
No, the game is actually on Steam itself, so we have no need to go through Greenlight.
Oh, well, that's convenient. But are you you're doing pre-orders on Steam already?
We're not doing pre-orders, but it is a coming soon product. So you can put on your wish list, and actually almost 800 people have wish listed the game already. So it seems like there is at least want for it.
Definitely. Hopefully those people come up and back. We've got 322 backers already, so that's nothing to shake a stick at.
I wish I knew where those other like 400 people were, though.
Well, they'll get there. Hopefully. Hopefully they will get there. Do you have a final price point for potions yet, or are you still kind of thinking that you're looking a little bit around, not quite sure, still working the numbers?
We're still working the numbers, but it looks like it's probably going to be $20. So that means backing now for $15 means you get 25% off before the game's even out. So obviously, if you're interested in Potions of Curious Tale at all, you should back us on Kickstarter.
Yeah, so that's a good motivation to go back on Kickstarter. Everybody, you guys should definitely check out Potions: A Curious Tale on Kickstarter. The logo is above my head, floating there. You can see it. Back now on Kickstarter, as Renee gestures at it in general. You can find it. The direct URL is listed there. It's stumblingcat.com/Kickstarter. Will take you to the Stumbling Cat website, and it's there on Kickstarter. It's been featured. I think this whole week it's been a feature. The whole last week it was a featured gaming project on Kickstarter.
Yeah, on Saturday we were the single featured games project, and we're actually marked as one of the Kickstarter projects we love.
Which
So
is they're quick to tell you not a tacit endorsement of a product, but does mean that they're behind it. It's I'll use their exact language. Our team identifies projects we love. This isn't a paid endorsement, just a show of love and respect from us at Kickstarter. It's good enough for the Kickstarter kids. It should be good enough for all of you. Go take a look at Potions of Curious Tale on Kickstarter. Go take a look at Renee's website. Go take a look at Stumbling Cat. Read the staff bios. They're a great group of people, and of course, Renee is an awesome person. And come read Renee's many articles on the site, which you can find in her backlog. You just write under your basic name, Renee Gittins, so we don't even
I
have
do.
to do anything. We don't have to do anything fancy for you. And that's going to be it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for watching our video. And as always, check us out on the brokenjoysticks.net. And please go visit the Kickstarter and consider donating.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
And
Bye.
thank you for being here tonight, Renee.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Bye-bye.